Hi everyone, Lucretia here, and today I have my very good friend Lisa with me.
Oh, hi.
Hi. So what I wanted to do, I've been thinking about for a while, is that people often ask or don't really understand how being psychic shows up for people. Like, how do they use it in their everyday lives? And I really want to do some demystifying around that. So I've got quite a few friends who are psychic, empathic, clairvoyant, intuitive, whatever they want to call it. And I thought, well, you know what? I think I'm going to just go and get some of those people, like my first victim here, Lisa.
Victim? Oh, no.
And just
What are
get them, and just ask them a few questions and ask them to share some of their real life experiences so we can actually start to demystify how things work. Now, we're actually in Brisbane today at the Parklands, and there are a couple of choppers overhead and there's been a plane or two, so I apologise if it's a bit noisy. Let me know if it gets too much of the background noise.
Hey, Ruthie.
Hey Ruth, how you doing? Nice to see you, babe. Alright, so, okay, so what do we do? Swipe left. Come on. Alright, so I just want to kick off and say, Lisa, do you call yourself psychic?
Do you know, that's a really interesting term. I would say no, I don't call myself psychic, but I would definitely say that I'm highly intuitive.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't even know what the difference is. Do you think there's a difference between being intuitive and being psychic?
I think a lot of people call themselves a lot of different things, and they have a lot of skill sets that cross over. So I always talk about it like the intuitive continuum, so that people are on different steps in the intuitive continuum. And to me, it doesn't really matter where you are on that. You know, it's whatever's right for you and where you are at in your journey.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I guess I'd be interested to know, when you talk about being intuitive, how does that show up for you in a real sense in your daily life?
Do you know, I've done a lot of work as a massage therapist for many, many years, probably about 15 now. And I noticed that when I put my hands on somebody's body, like something different happens.
So what happens when you do that?
I'll often get images that come. I remember this one particular time actually massaging a young man, and I got these very vivid images of abuse. And I also noticed that as I was massaging him, you know, he was really like holding himself very tightly. He just wasn't letting go. And so that, in conjunction with the images that I was getting, just confirmed to me that there'd been something that had gone on in his life, you know, with abuse that made him not wanting to be touched. And it was probably a really big step for him that day, actually being there, having the massage. You know, if I remember back, it was actually given to him as a gift, so he didn't actually make the choice to do it.
Right.
But yes, there's a lot of imagery that I get when my hands are actually on somebody.
And so they're coming to you for a massage, and you're picking up all these other things about them. Do you share that information with every client, or only some?
Not everybody, no.
Not everyone?
I sort of gauge the feel of, you know, where they're at. Some people I just don't think are open and ready. I usually ask, you know, some other person outside of me, some other guide, you know, about whether it feels right for me to actually express what I'm feeling. And like that day with the young man, I definitely didn't get the sense that was something that was not a conversation I was going to open up.
Yeah.
Even though the images were so vivid, you know, that I was getting. So I really just gauge the situation that I'm in. Some people are very open. I feel like they're almost like gagging for me to say something. And once I open the flow, you know, there's no going back. And most people are very open, you know, to what I've said, and very glad that I have said something. But yeah, there's always just that brief moment. I'm like, does it feel okay for me to actually say something here or not?
Yeah. So I guess what you could say is what you're experiencing is a form of clairvoyance. We're actually seeing things.
Right.
And I think the important thing to notice here is that we don't always, when you do have that skill set, and for you it's manifesting when you're actually doing your massage, you're not actually consciously seeking to tune into that person. It's just because you happen to be around their energy that you're picking up stuff. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I haven't gone in, you know, with the point of doing some kind of reading for them, and they haven't come for that purpose either. So often people leave and they've got a lot more than they've bargained for. That's how life works out sometimes, eh?
It does, right? But I guess that in those situations when you've felt intuitively once again that the information you've received is needing to be shared with that person, that them coming to see you in the first place is not accidental. And you and I were talking about this earlier, that there's coincidence. I don't believe coincidence exists.
No.
I think everything happens for a reason, you know, and those people have come to you because they needed that guidance at that point and that insight at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
And so how long has it been happening in your life that you've had those experiences of getting pictures when you were around people?
I think it's only actually really when I started doing the massage 15 years ago. In the first few years I wasn't as in tune with it. It's probably only in the last 10 or so years that I've really begun to get a more heightened awareness.
Yeah.
I think it's probably something that I shut down for a while, thinking, you know, with a Catholic upbringing, that's not really something I'm supposed to open to. But the more I felt it and the more I got comfortable with it myself, the more I've opened to it as well. And also the more I get clients who are open, you know, to that side of things also. Yeah,
I get that. And the other thing I wanted to ask about, because you mentioned this earlier today when we were having a chat, and you were talking about how you connect with angels when you were doing that kind of work with people as well, the massage work. Yeah. So can you share a bit with people about what that's all about?
Yeah, do you know, the angel thing was also very new to me a little while back. I went to a Hay House event. It was probably, what was it, like about 2011? So it wasn't that long ago. And even at that point, like, the whole angel thing was just like, yeah, whatever. Like, you know, I felt like there was something to it, but it wasn't something that I really connected into.
Yeah.
And something just turned for me at that event. Just one of the speakers, and I don't know, it just from that point on, it became a part of my life. And so now every time I do some kind of writing, I will always call in the angels to help me get the messages that come through. You know, when I work with people, especially when I massage people, I will always get the message, you know, ask them to bring the message through me. And when I work with people one-on-one as well, helping people with stress and burnout stuff, which is the direction I've gone in much more now. But it's still, sometimes I still have to remind myself that they're always there to help me.
Yes.
And sometimes I do forget.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right, is that they are always there. Your angels, your spirit guides, whatever it is that you work with in that energetic world, they're always there, available to help you. You just need to sometimes remember. Although I think too that sometimes we may not be remembering to ask for their help, but they're still up there. They're
like,
they're still up there.
I'm here.
But even though I think sometimes they're still doing what they do, we're just not conscious of that. They are still helping us out. Right, and so can I ask then, so you're getting pictures and you're tuning into angels, as you do, and well, I guess we have to understand that for some people who are watching this, that probably seems a bit like, woohoo!
Yeah,
like,
and that felt very weird to me for a while as well.
It did?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
How did you process that for yourself? Like, how did you make peace with that part of yourself?
I think just over time, like, just getting more familiar with it.
Yeah.
And just over and over, knowing, you know, I'm calling the angels in over and over, day after day. I think it just over time becomes just who you are.
And did you find that your healing was much more profound for your clients when you did that?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because it wasn't just it was you actually really channeling that energy through. Yeah.
I know when I've, you know, in the past when I've done things just using my own energy, I get so much more drained, like so much more, significantly more.
Yeah.
And when I call on support, you know, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
I can even end the day feeling energized. And often if I'm working with somebody and I'm feeling a bit tired going into the session, I will ask them to support me through the process as well, and to energize me as I'm working on somebody.
Yeah.
And it always works. It always works, but I don't always remember to ask.
No, we do forget.
That's the thing. If there was
We
one
do forget.
thing, yeah, just to remind myself all the time. So even though I've been doing this for quite a few years, I still on occasion forget to ask for the support.
So we need to ask for it.
Absolutely.
Ask for your support. Like, your guides are there, the angels are there for you. Ask for support. You can absolutely do that. And I guess that's the other thing to keep in mind is when you're talking about this, you actually are a channel. So you are bringing the energy through you, and so you are the channel for that energy is what I'm getting at there.
Yeah.
So when we are working energetically with people, we're bringing the energy from angels or whatever energetic source we're working with, from the universe, from the divine, whatever place you're pulling it in from. Just waiting for that car to go past. And you're bringing it through you as the channel. So it's like you are the electricity cord, and the electricity is turned on, and you are the conducting that electricity, and you are bringing that energy through to heal the person that you're working with. And then at the end of the session, we step back from that and close that channel off and clear ourselves of the energy that we've been working with. Yeah?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So how do you do that? How do you disconnect?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't actually think I do enough of that. I'm really glad you brought that up.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Caught.
Yeah, but I think that
yeah,
you
I don't do enough of that. Yeah.
Because there's something else that you probably need to know is that if you don't disconnect, is that you can actually walk away. You're still open up to that energy source, which is not always a bad thing, but more importantly though, if you don't make a clear decision to disconnect from the person's energy that you're working with, then you are actually taking some of their energy with you. Hey Carrie Dale.
Hey Carrie.
You're actually walking away still connected into their energy body.
Yeah, right.
And then what can happen sometimes is you might be feeling emotions and stuff that actually have nothing to do with you. It's because you're still feeling the energy of the other person.
Yeah.
So it is really important as a practitioner that we remember to disconnect. And you know what? It's like, hey Tara, is that we forget to do that sometimes. Even the most experienced practitioners will sometimes have a bad day or just be tired or whatever, and we forget to do the practices that we need to do to look after ourselves. Because the thing is, it's really, when you do remain connected into other people's energy, and we're not managing our own energy correctly, and it becomes very draining for us, and that's not a good way to be either.
Yeah, yeah. In the times that I do remember, I usually say something like, I ask for any energy that's not mine or of the light to be released from me.
Yeah.
And also in the shower at night, again, when I remember, I have got some Himalayan salt in there, so I'll rub that all over me and again ask for the energy to be released. But
yeah,
I'm not consistent enough. Thank you for the reminder. I'm not consistent enough. Yeah.
Look, no one's perfect though. Like, we are also human.
Yeah.
Like, we may be psychic, but we actually are human at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a constant journey as well with this kind of stuff. And I guess I wanted to ask, like, how old were you, on that note about being the journey, how old were you when you first started having these kinds of experiences, or knowing that you had this kind of capacity?
This was very shut down for me for most of my life.
Yeah.
Like I said before, it was probably really just when I first started doing massage. And even then, like a few years into it, so probably about 10 years ago.
Okay.
But growing up...
So like in your mid-30s then we're talking about?
Yes.
So nothing before that?
Yeah, there was glimmers, but I shut it down. I shut it down. I think the Catholic upbringing and how you're supposed to live in that kind of realm was taking over. Yeah. And I wasn't allowing that fully natural part of me to express. It didn't seem like it had an avenue. So yeah, I guess falling into massage is probably something to be really grateful for. Yes. To help to open up that channel. Yeah. That wasn't there, and then that's taken me into all kinds of routes. Yeah.
And so these days you obviously still do a little bit of massage, but you're moving away from that, and you do a lot of work with people, as you mentioned before, around burnout and stress and adrenal fatigue.
I certainly do. Yeah.
Which I'm going to say that people who are energetically sensitive, so empaths, psychics, whatever, they are, I guess I would say, more prone to adrenal fatigue. I think particularly because a lot of them have never been shown how to do that disconnection. and how to protect their own energy from other people's energy, and so then there's that really pull from other people.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to put out there now. That's my theory. It would be contributing to a lot of people getting adrenal fatigue.
Yeah, you know, I think you're right. And you know, I actually went through this myself first. You know, as we do, we come to our work often because we've gone through something, and I think when I went through it, from not having these tools of protecting my own energy and taking care of my needs in the way that I needed to, definitely contributed to my own burnout. Definitely. You know, I'm a very sensitive person, and so it can be so easy to just absorb all the energy around me. So, oh my God, if I had a bit more support on how to really clear this energy out of my system, that would have helped so much.
You needed someone like me, baby.
I did.
Way back
Where
then.
were you?
Oh, where was I? I was still working my own crap out. That's
God.
where I was back then, 10 years ago. Oh,
That's
my
for
Lord.
all of us.
That's a whole other story. Okay.
Oh,
and so
dear.
now you work with people. We're getting a lot of background noise, guys. Really sorry about that. This chopper is very persistent.
Shouldn't be too bad.
No, hopefully not. But when you're working with people now, so the massage thing you're kind of moving out of, but you still do a bit of, you get the pictures. And you work with people around burnout and adrenal fatigue. How does your intuition show up in that kind of space? And how do you use that to help your clients on their journey? How does that work for you?
I suppose at this stage, I've become a lot more trusting of my intuitive voice. I'm a lot more comfortable with it now. And I still will get some pictures that come, but they don't actually come as strongly as when I actually have my hands on a person. But the other aspect of my intuition feels very heightened, and I just trust what I'm being guided to say and do with the person. You know, I'm before I get on the call with somebody, you know, I do ask for the angelic support and ask for that, you know, for the right words to be said to that person, and to point them in the direction that they need to go. Yeah, it's not a hard science, this stuff, is it?
No, it's not.
But I really do trust what I'm being called to say, and I say it. I don't hold back in the way that I would have, you know, like 7, 8, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
If something comes through and needs to be said, I will say it to that person.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to, you know, deal with the reaction that might come up from them. My only job is to say what I feel called to, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Because sometimes when you are in that space, people's resistance is going to come up.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
and it does.
Because they've already paid to work with you, right? So they want to do the work, but in doing so, when you channel that information through for them, you're asking them to look at stuff that maybe they haven't wanted to look at.
Yeah, that's right. But honestly, I'm doing a disservice if I don't say what I'm called to say.
Absolutely.
Because like you say, sometimes their stuff needs to be triggered so it can come up and be healed.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you don't look at your own stuff, then you'll never actually deal with it. You'll never actually process. I mean, I always say that awareness is the first step. And sometimes it actually is about when you're around someone who is highly intuitive, and however that shows up for them. And it happens with friends, like we do it with each other. It's just like you'll be having a conversation and the person is very intuitive will say, well, do you think that's blah, 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 blah? And you're like, oh, damn, yes, no, I need to look at that and deal with that, and I can see that I'm doing that, and it just kind of rolls out from there.
It does.
And that does trigger you, and it brings up your resistance. But the first step is that awareness. And if someone's agreed to work with you, it's clear that they want to look at that stuff, but it is going to be confronting sometimes, and so they have the awareness, the resistance comes up, and then they move through it to the other side, and then you look back and you think, oh my gosh, I can see that I was doing that to myself, and now I'm not doing that anymore, and I can see that, and I've broken that pattern.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if somebody's reached the point of actually working with me as a client, they obviously feel some connection with my energy, and I think they're more willing and more open, to hear what's being said and to make the changes.
Yeah.
Other people are going to, have already gone running in the complete opposite direction because it's too much too soon, and they're already too triggered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it is important though to know that people, generally you will come across the right practitioner because it's the right time for you to do that work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll find someone turns up in your life that you may not have known about 3 weeks earlier, and suddenly they're in their life and you realise, oh, that's actually the person that I need to do the work with because I know they're the right one for me. Because different practitioners help different people at different times.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes the right practitioner may not be right for you right now, but they'll be right for you in a year when you've done some other work on yourself or with other people.
It may be for a season or it may be for a lifetime.
That's right. You may just keep
Something
coming
like
back
that.
to them. It just depends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whew. Okay. So, thank you so much for sharing
That's my absolute pleasure.
your experience. I think
yeah.
that's really helpful for people to understand that how it shows up in the real world, you know, and that we are all relatively normal, us psychic people.
What does
you know?
normal mean?
Well, this is the thing, right?
I've always wondered about that word.
What is normal? I don't really know. I don't claim to be normal. I don't know about you.
Yeah. No.
No.
No. Normal. I'm
No normal here.
normal. We're all
There is
normal.
no normal. No, there is. We're
The
the
new
new normal.
normal.
Yeah. Snap.
Snap. Yeah.
Okay, a bit like the new black, baby. Okay. All right. Clearly, we've talked enough for today. Hey, Adam, how you going? All right. If you have any questions, please post them below, and Lisa and I will respond as you need it. Yeah, and I just want to say, like, do you want to tell people briefly what you do, like, and where they can find out more
sure,
information, more
sure.
specifically
So,
about what you do?
If you're dealing with really chronic stress, it often turns into what's become known as adrenal fatigue. So you might have heard this term flying about. So basically, it's just the effect of, it's the effect of what chronic stress does to you, and it brings about a whole host of physical symptoms that are really, really uncomfortable. But as well as addressing the actual physical stuff, we have to get underneath and work through the emotional issues. So, this is going to be a permanent recovery. So, if you've been dealing with chronic stress for quite a while and actually gone down a route of burnout, please, I'm your girl.
Lisa is the woman to get in touch with.
I'm your girl.
And so we'll put her contact details under here, but you can find her under the Burnout Antidote online as well. Okay, as I said, if you have questions, post them below. We'll respond. It's been great chatting. Thank you, Miss Lisa, for joining
pleasure.
me.
Thank you, Lucretia.
Let's do this again really soon.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, guys.
Okay.
We'll see you soon.
See you later.
Bye.